Right now, I'm trying to honor all my debts, keep all my employees paid. I would allow people to work. I would mandate all employers to provide a safe space. I just simply want to have my goals met and have their goals met. I haven't had an agent turn me down on this.
Welcome back to I Buy Real Estate, your free step-by-step guide so you can buy real estate. Today we got a special guest in the building, Michael Sobotka. He currently owns 70 units. He's a real estate agent, owns a law firm, owns a consulting firm, owns a lending firm, owns a construction company. Mike, did I forget anything else?
Just one correction. I am an employee of the law firm. I'm the CEO of the Colson Law Group. I do not own the law firm.
Okay.
I have an accounting company as well.
There you go. Another accounting company as well to add in on that. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you for having me, Wayne.
Great. So tell me about your current businesses. I know you mentioned that you have employees and mortgage bills to fulfill, but you can't fulfill those checks. It's not even April yet. What's going on?
So there's a lot of unknowns. Primary income for all the businesses is rent. Rental income is collectible around $50,000 per month. And a lot of my tenants have reached out, said that they can't afford their full monthly payment. I also have a lot of employees that are restricted here in New York State. Right now we have all non-essential workers have to report from home, and really several of my employees need to be on site. It's very hard for them to work from home. Right now, I'm still keeping them on payroll. I'm honoring all my debts, so everyone is still being paid, but income is quite an unknown. We're approaching April 1st, so I'll have rents coming in. I think I'm going to be tight, but I'm going to make it. Construction costs still exist, but yesterday, Governor Cuomo shut down all non-essential construction. So I am trying to figure out what's going to happen, what's considered essential, non-essential. I am in the middle of renovating several properties where I want tenants to move in either April 1st or May 1st, and I'm not sure how this is going to affect myself or the tenants. I know that at least one tenant is going to be homeless if I don't finish renovation. Won't know how I'm going to handle my mortgage debts up until rent comes in. So I'll get that answer in the next probably 7 days. My plan is, actually I don't have a plan. It's probably going to be difficult. I won't have an answer for a while. Right now I'm trying to honor all my debts, keep all my employees paid, even if they can't work to the best of their ability. And
okay, so
we'll figure it out.
So wow, let's talk about this lockdown. Do you agree with this lockdown? What's your take on it?
I could probably argue both sides, but since I'm effective in a negative way, I'm going to say I'm not for it. It's hurting the economy much more than what people getting sick will cause. Yes, it's unfortunate when people die. It's always unfortunate when one person dies. But people not working, not being able to pay their bills, have their livelihoods lost. I definitely know some people are going to be permanently bankrupt because of a shutdown. There are several restaurants, and I know these owners, and they're going to be closing up shop permanently because of the shutdown. And it's a shame. The shutdown is going to cause people to lose their mind. It's going to cause mental breakdown. There's going to be suicides. Some people are not going to be able to pay any of their bills, feed their families. Yes, it's unfortunate if even one person dies from the coronavirus, but more people are going to be affected by the shutdown than I think should happen.
Okay, so it sounds like you have mixed feelings about the lockdown. Let's say you, Mike, is in charge. What would you do differently?
I would allow people to work, and I would mandate all employers to provide a safe space. If it was unfeasible, the employers shouldn't open up. But if it's feasible, where people can walk in separate entrances, have a certain distance apart, not use the kitchen at work. If people should be allowed to meet on one-on-one settings. But right now, there's real estate agents. That's one of my business. A real estate agent cannot meet a client one-on-one at all. If a home can be listed, we're actually restricted from allowing a potential buyer to walk into a vacant house, even if the real estate agent isn't in the same building as them. That's quite extreme, and it hurts lots of people. Some people are going homeless. Some people can't afford holding costs on a vacant house. There are probably several other ways that it could be handled than what's being implemented.
Well, you hear what they're assisting us with is the 90-day mortgage postponement. I mean, do you think that's going to help? Do you think it's not over the long term? What's your feelings about that?
I have several $1 million in mortgages. Mine are not going to be postponed. The bill that just got signed is for loans that are backed by FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and for the most part, those are owner-occupied primary residences. So investors like myself, like yourself, we're not going to be exempt. I'm actually trying not to call for any type of delay or a forbearance on my mortgage, because it's going to hurt my borrowing power to say that I'm in a weak position when this is over. And I still plan on buying. I still plan on borrowing, and I think the real estate market is going to be strong after all this is over.
Got it, guys. So, I mean, in these uncertain times, it is what it is. It's out of our control. But let's talk about what we can control. 70 units in 5 years. Such a short amount of time. How were you able to accomplish that? That's 14 units a year.
I'm going to tell anyone. I grew up on the east side of Buffalo. I grew up in a family of 5 in a 2-bedroom house. Our household income was under $30,000 a year. It's not like I had a head start at all. It was a desire to just do better. I bought my first house because I spent no money on clothes, sneakers, cars, jewelry. But I bought my first house while I was a sophomore in college. Lending was a lot easier then. I had a lot of money saved up because I worked hard when I was 16. I tried to work as many hours as I could when I was younger. So I bought my first house when I was a sophomore in college, and it took me 8 more years up until I realized the power of real estate, where I started buying more. I spent my careers working in Division I basketball, 4 years Houston Police Department, 2 years as a New York State Trooper, and then I quit that 6-figure job to become a real estate agent. While becoming a real estate agent, I started learning investing more, and I bought 5 properties in my first year and focusing on rental properties. And I've done that, and I did not have a strong lending background because I was newly self-employed, so I depended on seller financing. So I started off with a lot of seller financing. Eventually, when I had a strong portfolio of cash flow and rentals, I started to buy my rentals in LLC, and I got commercial lending from a local community bank. But starting off, seller financing was awesome. The most important part when buying a home is understanding the story of the homeowner. I think you would agree.
Absolutely.
I'm only going to win if I match all of their needs. And you have to understand what their needs are in order so you can make a relevant and a proper offer for them. So the 2 houses, or 2 of the first 3 houses I bought in this growth towards rental properties, both those people already moved out of their primary residence and had another house. Their motivation was to just wipe their hands free of a property that they no longer wanted. They didn't want to be a landlord, but they also did not need the money from the sale in order to buy their next house. So perfect. So I made offers to both of them where one of them, they owned the property outright. They had no mortgage on the property because it was paid off. So I gave them a higher sales price, but 100% financing. I paid closing costs. It cost me under $1,000 to move into this property. And I made monthly payments to them of around $675 a month. And I rented out the place for $950 per month starting off. It's $1,000 per month right now. That was 5 years ago now. And this other property, person had a mortgage balance. Some people thought he was underwater, but he moved on. He just wanted to get rid of the house and not pay out of pocket to discharge a mortgage, and he didn't want a short sale or a foreclosure. So I gave him $1,000 a month, and I did a wraparound mortgage to start. I gave not a month. I gave him $1,000 cash. I paid for all closing costs on both sides, and we did a wraparound mortgage for the existing terms of his mortgage. So I paid all of his monthly costs, it continued to be reported on his credit report. So he needed some credit repair. So me actually paying his mortgage benefited him. He got $1,000 out of pocket, and I had a monthly mortgage payment of just under $700 a month, and I rented out that property for $1,000 a month. Meanwhile, it only cost me $1,000 out of pocket. So I paid off my initial investment in just a few months. That's how I got started. Come up with creative ways while meeting the desires of the homeowner.
Getting started, you were using these creative strategies. Moving forward into majority of your purchases, these rental purchases, was there like a specific strategy you used in order to obtain most of them?
I don't like ratios. I don't like percentages because I think they could be skewed all the time. Cap rates, internal rate of returns, gross rent multipliers, the debt service credit ratio, they all have their place, but I don't evaluate properties with any specific ratio. I try to see if I buy this property, will my net worth increase while not hurting my cash flow? So that's how I buy. And I bought two other creative ways. I bought a property. It was a 3-unit for $117,000. I think it was cash. It was rented out for probably about $1,500 a month. Right now I'm getting $1,800 a month. This was 4 years ago. I don't want to pay out of pocket. The seller had no mortgage on the property. It was sitting on the market for over a year. It was listed at 140, eventually dropped to 117. I said, I'm not going to negotiate on price. I want to negotiate on terms. So I bought the house for 117, and I got bank finance. I got a commercial loan. I needed 20% down on this multi-unit. 20% of 117 was roughly, $96,000 and change with closing costs. Or sorry, my loan was $96,000. I needed just like around $22,000 to close. I got a $40,000 lien in the second position that the bank allowed from the homeowner. So I borrowed 96 from the bank, 40 from the homeowner, and I put over $20,000 in my, or around $20,000 in my pocket to buy this property. And then I was cash flowing. My monthly mortgage payment was significantly less than what my rental income was. It was great. I put cash in my pocket while cash flowing.
Wow.
And now my strategy is a little bit different. Right now, I have a community bank where I am purchasing a property, and the place is appraised at the after repair value. So I give my scope of work. I'll tell them I'm going to paint, put in new vinyl click and lock floors throughout the house, carpet in the bedrooms, new kitchen cabinets, granite countertops, and the house is going to appraise based on those improvements. And it's great. I bought this one property for $62,000. Needed a lot of work though. Did foundation, siding, windows, insulation, roof, drywall, all the finished work. The inside was completely gutted, but and this was actually a wholesale from you, 427 Hoyt. I actually got my final draw yesterday. I didn't tell you. Total into it, I'm into it around 122. So with closing costs, I'm into it for under $190,000. It appraised for 305. I actually did higher end finishes than I anticipated. Check out Facebook if you want to take a look at some of the pictures. But that's a huge windfall. So it appraised at 305. I got it. The bank approved me for 80% of the after repair value. So $240,000 mortgage, 190 all into it. I put $50,000 in my pocket while having over $60,000 in equity. And I have a tenant that is ready to move in for $1,400 a month on one unit. I'll probably get $1,500 a month on the other unit. I wanted to Airbnb it, but I'm a little hesitant right now with travel and the coronavirus.
Got it. So I think that strategy is actually called the BRRRR method.
So I skipped one step on the BRRRR method because BRRRR method, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. I'm getting one loan, one closing to get all my money. So it's the BRRRR method on steroids, skipping a step, saving money on closing costs, and much more efficient. Also, exactly what the refinance number is because I'm getting that appraisal number before I even close on the property. I know what I am going to get as far as a loan balance before I finish all my improvements. and it gives you a lot more peace of mind. If you are doing renovations, need to go over budget, want to adjust the renovations from rental grade to flipping grade.
And it just sounds like,
not all community banks do it, but definitely local. If you go to any of the big banks, they probably don't have an appetite for that.
Gotcha. And just sounds like instead of you putting up your cash up front, the bank is basically fronting you the cash plus the rehab cost. So I think that's what you mean by skipping a step. And with this new,
typically I'm getting 100% or greater than 100% financing on my purchase plus rehab. You don't get all the money up front, you get it in the form of draws. So on the purchase price, I have to come up with 20% of the purchase price, but then, you know, I'll put a roof that costs $10,000. The bank will give me a $20,000 draw. I put floors throughout. I've spent $8,000. The bank will give me a $15,000 draw, and that's how this house at 427 Hoyt in Buffalo worked out for me.
And it sounds like with this new method, you're not coming any out-of-pocket costs. Does that sound about right?
I am paying out of pocket for the down payment, but I'm quickly getting that reimbursed within a matter of weeks. One time, I even made renovations to a house prior to closing, the first phase of the draw schedule, and I closed. The inspection was already done by the bank, and I closed on the property, 20% out of pocket, but I got the draw from the first phase that same day of closing, and I had my down payment reimbursed. It was fantastic.
Wow, fantastic. I might actually steal your new strategy.
Let's do it.
This is a first. Tell us how you got sellers to pay you at closing for purchasing their property. That's just unheard of.
Yeah, so I'll go back to, I'll elaborate a little bit more of this one property I purchased. It was 21 Center in Angola, New York, which is, 35 minutes south of Buffalo. Not really a place where a lot of investors are going just because it's outside of the populated area. But story was important. This woman lived in Amherst, New York, had one rental property only that was really a distraction for her. She owned it in Angola, and her goal was to move to Florida. Money wasn't important to her. She was wealthy, but she had a rental property, and she just wanted to cut off all ties to the Buffalo area and just move on, be happy in the sun. Money wasn't important to her. How she sold it wasn't important to her. She just wanted to get rid of ownership, maintenance of this rental property. She didn't want to deal with tenants in Florida. I said, I'll gladly take on your tenants, which was a little bit shocking to hear from her because 2 of the 3 tenants were there for 25 years.
Wow.
They never made any calls for any maintenance. They didn't cause any damage. She couldn't sell it primarily because, not that many people are looking for 3 units, 35 minutes outside of Buffalo. So like I said, it was listed for 140. It was price reduced down to 117. I said, what do you want to accept? Do you want to accept 100,000, 105? Or do you want to accept 117 and I'll pay you a 6% interest if you lend me $40,000? She's going to get a big chunk from the bank, and she's going to lend it back to me, just a portion of it, $40,000 at 6%. I told her, even prior to making an offer, what was her plan with the money upon sale. Her plan was to just keep it in the bank. So I said, give me $40,000, I'll pay you 6%. She was thrilled with that idea. I said, you'll have a lien position on my house. Worst case scenario, you could, if I stop paying you, you could buy the house back and start it all over again. I ended up, we had like a 7-year mortgage. I ended up refinancing, and because I gained equity, and I paid her off in 3 years. I didn't need the money, but she said, reach out if you want to borrow money again.
Wow.
So, find out what the person's goal is and try to meet their goals while benefiting as much as possible. My benefit was I bought this property with no money out of pocket. I put money in my bank account for closing on this property, and I cash flowed from day one.
That's amazing.
I absolutely loved it.
That was a fantastic opportunity. So these deals that you're buying, are some of them on the MLS?
I would say about 50% of my properties have been listed. 50% have come off market. Wholesalers like yourself, I bought a couple off of it probably would be skewed more towards actual properties listed on the MLS, if not for buying a one package portfolio in Lockport, New York, about 7 or 8 properties off market in one bundle. If it wasn't for that, it would be skewed more towards MLS listing. I don't know. Sometimes people shy away from projects. Right now, lately, I've been buying projects where the rehab is a lot greater. My confidence is higher in doing rehabs, partnering with certain contractors. So people are scared of doing these major rehabs. You know, I bought this one property, 427 Hoyt. Everyone was scared because the foundation was failing. I ended up fully permitted, insured. I replaced 35 feet of foundation wall for $8,000.
Wow.
And I think when we first looked at this house, both of us were a little bit more scared of that house than $8,000.
Yeah, Mike, it was so bad that in the basement there was mold everywhere, and when you just walk in, you just get that mold sensation, and then I felt actually sick from it. That's how bad that house was.
Yeah, and it was terrible. It was graffiti all over. The bow in the block foundation was what 4 or 5 inches. It was quite a big bow. All the rainwater was just flowing into that basement. It was terrible. Floors were uneven, and it took a while. But now my floors are perfectly level. You can't roll a marble on it.
Got it. So for those deals that you bought on the MLS, and you're also using creative structuring, how are you convincing the agents to accept your creative financing when they're so used to the black and white of real estate?
It's quite unfortunate when people only like to work cookie cutter deals, black and white, same deal over and over and over. But if they're having a hard time selling it, they want to earn their commission while still meeting all the needs of the seller. If an agent's having a hard time, it's all about conversation. Again, I want to know their story, understand what the needs of the seller are, and I'll come up with something. And it's not a set in stone offer. I'm just trying to get some feedback to find out if they're interested in going down this path. So it's all about conversation. Sometimes agents aren't understanding how I describe a situation or an offer to them. And I'll ask them, can I speak directly with the homeowner? It's like, if we're able to work something out, you're still getting a commission. I'm not trying to, push you out of the deal. I just simply want to have my goals met and have their goals met. And I haven't had an agent turn me down on that offer.
I think the major thing we have to learn from this is it's got to be a win-win for everybody, a win all the way around so everyone benefits.
And sometimes it could be 3 wins. Yes, it's great when one person wins and the other loses, but if I get a win, it doesn't matter if the other person loses or wins. As long as a win is coming my way, I would prefer that the other person is happier.
Got it. Okay. So before we end it, Mike, you got any advice or words of encouragement in these uncertain times for all the viewers out there?
I would say don't hesitate. Don't be afraid. Keep on doing what you're doing. Take a farther step, and the sky's the limit. Like I said, I came from a family of 5 in a 2-bedroom house making less than $30,000. In 5 years, I'm approaching a $2 million net worth. Anything's possible if you push yourself. If you're scared, that probably means that you should do it if you believe in yourself. If it's a bad deal, then you should walk away from it.
Got it. Great. So if you were entertained or got value, click the like button and subscribe for more content. If you got any questions to ask Mike, make sure to comment below and share to help others just like yourself. Thank you, Mike. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, Lloyd. Take care.